Beliefs in history, well, history meaning the past, first of all. Neither live in the past nor in the future. For unless you are living in your existential reality, that's where you should be living. You are living in your existential reality. Unless you're doing that, you're wasting time. The past is already gone. You can no longer do anything about that. So, to be reminiscing about your great great grandmother instead of making memorable experiences is a waste of your existential reality, which is the present. Your existential reality is the present. Similarly, to become preoccupied with what may or may not happen in the future, i.e., to be fearful of death, becoming preoccupied with what will happen after you die, is also a waste of time, which is your existential reality. What you need to do is come to terms with that, so you are no longer afraid of it. Don't be there thinking, and wrongly so, that everyone else is going to die except you, when you yourself can die in a minute. Hence the reason you are well advised not to procrastinate, but to keep your house in order and to live with full intensity, not half stepping. Instead, being totally committed into whatever you do. History within the context of tradition. You should not keep tradition. You should only stand upon it, making it relevant and useful for the current, the present, and future generations, allowing them to make meaningful changes to keep it relevant and productive. So you don't need to keep, for keep's sake. You need to make it make sense. Towards which end, you must make it your business to understand why something was established, the idea and the founders had behind it, as well as the point. There needs to be a point, one that makes sense. Unless something is of a spiritual nature, it should make sense. Notwithstanding, tradition used used to be orally passed down. Today we have technology. Every day, new and improved technology is deems yesterday's technology old and no longer relevant. So I said that to say that reality with partiality, this platform is here where individuals come, create their own narrative, document their own history, their current situation, and their vision going forward, not leaving the narrative for others to interpret, i.e., this is who that person was and is. You are an individual, and as such, indivisible, one of a kind, the only one of you that God created. Therefore, instead of viewing your life and living your life in competition with other people and comparison with other people, become the best version of yourself. Yeah. So, ensuring that today you are a better version of who you were yesterday. Find your niche, find your one of a kind lane, that thing that you're passionate about, love doing, to where whenever you immerse yourself, you just don't know where the time goes. And equally important, that thing wherein you are competent and keep working on your craft. Niche and early is not about purpose, so-called God-given purpose, you can only claim to have your own body and mind, not your own life. Your purpose is it cannot be. It never is okay. To tell other people what to do. Your purpose is God told you to remove this mountain. God told you to kill these animals. They don't come from a position of arrogance with a special purpose. The most important step is the one in front of you. Okay, so you don't need to establish a goal, so called. The most important step is the one in front of you. A goal is a finish line. Yeah, it's at the end. You need to be in your existential reality. So, life is shared commodity with all other living creatures and things. Consciousness also is not something you strive for. And consciousness also is shared commodity. So with consciousness, you simply turn up the voltage, for light reveals everything. You become enlightened spiritually. To be in the dark is to not know something. So when you become enlightened, it means getting to know that which you didn't know before. You become enlightened not through prayer, where you are there as if acting as if you're God's advisor. Prayer is good for making supplication, adoration, giving praise, and being there with an abundance of gratitude. Otherwise, establish a consecrated altar within yourself, wherein you remain, and consecrate the spaces around you. In your yard, in your neighborhood, have several altars that you establish in your home. With I don't know, incense, candles, stone, trees, plants, whatever is natural. So you do that, consecrate your spaces, yeah. So you invoke grace, which is divine power, supernatural power, together with your own power. Then you become indispensable. Yeah, you become mighty, undefeatable. So, like I said, to be in the dark is to not know something. So, to become enlightened is to know that which you didn't know before. Prayer is good, but only for those things, right? Prayer, making supplication, adoration, and out of an abundance of gratitude. Otherwise, establish a consecrated altar within yourself. You can neither grow nor become enlightened through expression, yapping, 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 talking. No, you. What you need is to grow in perception, not expression. Yeah, you grow in perception. You can only perceive in one of two. There are two ways. The one way you perceive is through your five common senses. That is via logic, which comes with understanding, or the only other way is to grow through experience, and they're both different. You can't know God, whom you cannot see, for God is a spirit, any other way but through the experience of a relationship. You can't know God through logic, and that is the same way. The experience of a relationship is the way you know in an interface with life. The created universe is the same way you know how you think, feel, and experience life. Yeah? Through the experience of a relationship, not through logic. So, you can neither grow nor become enlightened through expression. You grow in perception. That's the way to grow, not expression. Yapping as if you're God's advisor. So, the way you know God is the way you know a prostitute, hypothetically, right? Through a one-night stand, hypothetically. And that's legal knowledge and spiritual knowledge. And so to know God, you have to make a leap. Since you can't know God through logic, you have to make a leap. Well, put another way, you have to surrender to the process. You can't know through logic, so surrender is not in spirituality is not a weak concept by any stretch of the imagination. So you need to have a quiet mind and one that is hungry for knowledge. So, I'd say become a seeker like I am. I neither believe nor disbelieve anything until it enters my experience. I am a seeker. And so I have to be brutally honest with myself. I never psych myself. And I don't use psychology on other people, except if they come across as if though they're patients, right? And they're not in their sound mind. So that's the only place where I see justification for it. I have to be honest with people. If my answer is no, it's no. If it's maybe, it's maybe. If I have to think about it, let me think about it. You know, but yeah, it's important for me to be a person of integrity as a seeker, so I could sit still and stable. I sleep peacefully at night. Yeah. So become a seeker of truth and knowledge, become enlightened. At least talk about getting, into a zone. I, as a devotee to spirituality, I'm always enlightened. Like right now. I mean, knowledge just keeps oozing. That would be all.